It's more than 3 years since the Prime Minister labelled Wellington a dying city. He's since resigned from that position, but the city's economic growth has fallen behind the national average. And in the words of one mayoral candidate, it has dithered over major infrastructure projects. In a debate on Morning Report this morning, the four leading candidates, Joe Coghlan, Nicola Young, Justin Lester and Nick Leggett, made it clear that getting transport infrastructure right is key to unlocking economic growth in the region. Our local government reporter, Michael Kropp, was there.
A mayoral campaign is a ruthlessly positive affair, with each candidate proclaiming why they love their city. Yet, to woo voters, they must acknowledge what could make the city even better, beginning with Nick Leggett, Porirua's mayor.
Wellington has slipped behind. If you look at our economic growth over the last few years, at our productivity, Wellington isn't doing as well as it should be. And the next mayor and the next council really have to grasp it and drive newer markets and a better discussion with government on unlocking key infrastructure.
Mr Leggett was the spokesperson for the failed Basin Reserve flyover, but he says the city still needs to sort out its part of the state highway network. Justin Lester, the deputy mayor, says the flyover would have been a terrible outcome for Wellington and would prefer the road went underground. Councillor Joe Coghlan, who has held the economic portfolio for 6 years, is focusing her campaign on roads under the slogan 4 lanes to the plains.
The reality is that now we are 5 years behind where we would have otherwise been, and it is time to address these issues.
Let's talk a bit about the 4 lanes to the plains, because firstly, when that's actually part of the regional transport plan, is it a bit disingenuous to be campaigning so hard on that?
No, not at all. I mean, we've got to get these things over the line. There's massive processes to go through. We've got to get these projects consented. Someone's got to drive and lead these projects. These projects would have been happening sooner had we had a mayor who wanted them to happen.
Cycleways are another major point of contention. First-term councillor Nicola Young says the route in Island Bay has been a disaster, pitting councillors and the community against one another.
I'll listen to the residents, and if the majority of the residents want it put back, then it should be put back. It should never have gone in. I did a notice of motion as soon as I was elected to council, backed by our local councillor Paul Eagle, to stop the Island Bay Cycleway for a whole range of reasons that were all absolutely made sense. And I said we need a master plan for the whole city.
But Justin Lester says he's brokered a truce in the suburb which will allow everyone to move on.
I've committed to the community, working with cyclists, and they will come up with a design that they are proud of. And
is that a yes or a no? Because I'm not sure.
That's a Justin response.
I'm committed
it's a Bob each way.
to ensuring what they say goes ahead.
Joe Coghlan wants to see a better route built along the edge of the harbour.
I voted against it. I thought it was not the right thing to do. If the community want it ripped up, then we'll rip it up. But, I mean, what a waste of time and energy and money. And I think we've got to be very careful to make sure that doesn't happen.
I think what's got to happen here is we've got to take something positive from the Island Bay experience, and that's why I've announced a policy called Community Futures that actually puts communities in the driving seat of their own planning.
Nick Leggett says that policy would let suburbs assemble their own 10-year plan detailing their priorities. Another big transport project looms large for the capital, the $300 million airport runway extension, opposed solely in the debate by Nicola Young. Voting papers are due to be sent out this Friday and must be returned in less than a month. In Wellington for Checkpoint, call Michael Kropp there now.